It's Friday. The Guards went back-to-back sweeps. Ryan Day is surprisingly comfortable. There's a quarterback two competition going on, I guess. And are we overreacting to Deshaun Watson? That's what we got today. Just want to give a shout out to my wife. Yesterday was her birthday. Happy birthday to my wife. 34 years old. Never been better. Couldn't be happier with the partner for my life that I've chosen and our two awesome kids. So shout out to her. She's the GOAT. You know who also is the GOAT? Jose Ramirez. The guy just needed some time to figure out how to reinvent himself after a ham bone. What he did on Tuesday night with three doubles in a row, five RBIs, putting the team on his back after Gavin Williams laid an absolute egg. What a stud. Well, just the best, just the greatest player in franchise history. No other way to put it. No other way to put it, man. Tell you what, too, the offense in the Angels series saved the pitching. The pitching was Parker Messick dealt. Joey Cantillo escaped. I don't know what that was. That's got to be one of the worst quality starts of all time. 7 walks in 6 innings. He only gave up 2 runs. 3 runs, sorry. 3 runs. He was going to wear that one for the team, for the bullpen, because of what Gavin Williams did to the bullpen the day before. That was nuts. But this team, man, I keep trying to tell everybody. I know Stephen Vogt. We have issues with Stephen Vogt. We have thoughts about Stephen Vogt and what he does and doesn't do. Yikes, my hair. The the thing that we can never say though about Stephen Vogt is that this team never quits. They never stop playing. They play all 162. And there's the fight, there's the competitive excellence that the team thinks they're never out of it. For the players, the front office and the ownership, their competitive excellence needs some help. But when it comes to the players, the guys in the clubhouse, those guys never think they're out of the fight. They never think that they can't come back and make it happen. They just keep playing and showing up every single day. And what's been happening recently, I have to put my hand up. I wrote Stephen Kwan off. I did. I put out a tweet yesterday about shaming people for Jose Ramirez and writing him off and calling him old and calling him washed. And there's some people that, said that they didn't say that, blah, 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 blah. And that's, not everybody was dramatic, but there was a large portion of people who said that he was washed. And writing off Jose Ramirez is different than writing off Stephen Kwan. Jose Ramirez deserves all the patience. He deserves all the empathy. He deserves all the chances to figure it out. And I didn't think Stephen Kwan deserved that same opportunity. What he's done since July 1st is one of the craziest turnarounds in season that I think I've ever seen in baseball. I mean, this is a guy who was essentially unplayable. He was barely getting the ball out of the infield. His bat speed looked low. It was getting slower. He wasn't barreling the baseball up. He wasn't doing anything. He was almost an automatic out. And what he's done and turned him what he's done. I mean, he's hitting over 280. When July 1st rolled around, he was almost below 200, and now he's batting 280. He's getting on base the first at bat of the game almost more than half the time. It's incredible. Now, I will stand on the fact that I don't believe that Stephen Kwan is worth the 20 to 25 million dollars that I think he thinks he deserves as a free agent. I don't think he's worth that to the Cleveland Guardians. I just don't. I don't think I can pay somebody right now 25% of my salary, my team, my roster salary, to a guy that only hits singles and doesn't steal bases. It's not that I don't think Stephen Kwan's a good player. I just don't think the Guardians can pay him what he's worth. But that's not the point of what we're talking about right now. What he's done to turn this around is remarkable. It's impressive. It's needed. What he's done has allowed the moves that Anthony made with Joe Adell and Nathaniel Lowe look even better. I mean, there's no way around it. Antonetti cooked with these two trades. And even Foster Griffin has been okay. He's been better than Slate Ciccone, so net win, right? Antonetti, they absolutely won the deadline. Joe Adell has provided juice as a right-handed hitter that we've been looking for since Edwin Encarnacion. Just real pop, real power, real hit the ball hard stuff. And not to mention, like, he's fast. He's a good athlete. And then Nathaniel Lowe is his situational approach to offense is so impressive. It's so veteran. It's so professional. You know, everybody was like, Reese Hoskins puts together professional at bats, veteran at bats. Yeah, but he doesn't get any hits. He's a meatball merchant who's running it. He ran into some fastballs and hit some balls out. But just because you see a lot of pitches doesn't mean you're putting together good at bats. Nathaniel Lowe is like putting the ball in play in situations where the ball needs to be put in play, sacrifice flies, ground balls to the right side when there's a runner on second with nobody out, moving runners, and also, not to mention, getting hits, which is part of the game. Just outstanding acquisitions that have provided the opportunity for Stephen Kwan to look even better. Stephen Kwan's doing his part, but his value is also being maximized because the guys behind him. He's giving those guys a chance to look great, and they are right now. And the other thing, too, that I want to talk about is I know that the Angels are bad and the Rockies are bad. I get that. But that's not how baseball works. The Angels, the last two games, threw out two starting pitchers that were throwing 100 miles an hour. If those guys have really good days on the mound, the Angels are going to win. That's how baseball works. Any day, a pitcher can have a great day, and it doesn't matter what the offense does, the pitcher's going to win. So everybody can sit here and say, oh, well, they're not playing anybody, and they're beating the teams that they're supposed to be. Well, yeah, that's part of being a good team. I'm not going to sit here and say the Guardians are a great team right now. They're a good team. And they're beating the teams they're supposed to beat, even when the teams that they're supposed to beat have talented players. I mean, those two guys that they threw out there, the Angels, and the starting pitchers on Tuesday and Wednesday, if those guys are on their game, they're probably really hard to hit because they throw 100 miles an hour with good breaking balls. And you know what? The Guardians hung tough. They did what they needed to do on the mound to keep their teams in the game. I mean, the bullpen performance on Tuesday was electric. And then Cantillo gutting it out and giving you 18 outs in that game with his D-plus stuff. I mean, he couldn't control the baseball at all. He had no idea where the ball was going. And they still hung tough and found a way to win that game and come back. it's starting to feel like this team has a little bit of magic. It has a little bit of, some fight to it. The culture of the Guardians is starting to show its face, and it's incredible. There's one thing that I don't like about what's happening with the Guardians, and I'm concerned about Chase Lauder's injury. I know that he pinch hit Wednesday, and they're being very protective of him, and I'm supporting that. It's just the hamstrings tend to linger, and the reality of the situation is we need Chase Lauder. Chase Lauder has been than I thought, better than I hoped he'd be this early. His plate discipline is elite. His swing and miss is really good. He doesn't swing and miss very often, and he hits the ball hard a lot. More often than not, when he puts the ball in play, he hits it really hard. So they need him to play, and they need him to be productive. So I posed a question yesterday on the Twitter machine, and I said, would you take Chase Lauder at his ceiling if his ceiling is peak Michael Brantley? Peak Michael Brantley, his best season was in 2014. He was a 7 WAR player, which WAR is a very fickle stat. I don't want to get too into the specifics of it, but WAR is a stat that I think needs to be reevaluated. But nonetheless, 7 WAR player. He had 20 homers, 45 doubles. He had 97 RBIs. He had 327 and with an OPS plus of 148. So the resounding answer was yes, you would take it. And I agree 100%. I would take peak Michael Brantley if that's who Chase Lauder is going to be. That's his ceiling. That's who he is over the course of his career. 100%. OPS plus of 148. Are you kidding me? Now, here's the thing. The reason why I asked the question is because I wanted to gauge what the fans thought of who he is in expectation wise, like of over comparing him across baseball. Because Michael Brantley was never really looked at as a top. I don't know if you could ever say he was a top 20 player. At his peak, he was third in the MVP. Don't get me wrong. Like, that was a great season. But we never looked at Michael Brantley and said, that's a top 10 player in baseball. That's a top 15 player in baseball. You could probably make the argument he's a top 20 player in baseball at the time. But I wanted to gauge what is fair to expect from Chase Lauder moving forward in his career. And for a little while, I when I asked the question, I was wondering if people thought he should be a top 10 player in baseball, if he should be a top 15 player in baseball. What do we want from him? Do I think Chase Lauder's ever going to hit 330 in a season? No, I don't think anybody's really hitting 330 in a season anymore. Would I love for 45 doubles? Hell yeah. Sign me up right now. 97 RBI? Sign me up right now. I do expect him to hit for a little bit more power than Michael Brantley. I will say that. I will trade the 300 average for 25 to 30 homers. If he hits 275, but he hits me 25 to 30 homers instead of 315 homers, I would take that. And maybe that's just because I think he's just a massive human being. But I also think he hits the ball hard. And his power is coming. The true power is on the way. He's still super young. Like, he's not even close. He's still a couple seasons away from his, like, real MLB power. But if you told me that Chase Lauder's ceiling is in career is going to look like a healthy Michael Brantley, because from 2012 through 2015, Michael Brantley was a 3 WAR player, except for 2014 where he was a 7 WAR player. if Chase Lauder is anywhere, if he is that consistent, and I think he will be, the only thing that's holding Chase Lauder back is health. Same thing with Michael Brantley. He just really couldn't stay as healthy as he wanted to. But I think he could definitely be that. I would want a little bit more power, but overall, it's a resounding hell yes for me if he turned into Michael Brantley. I don't think anybody would be upset about it. I don't think anybody would really complain. Like I said, if we're nitpicking, we would like to see a little bit more power. Can't wait for the series that starts today against the Royals. My wife and I are actually going. We're going to the game tonight. Should be awesome. Tanner Bybee on the mound. Are going Tanner Bybee, Foster Griffin, and Parker Messick. I believe that's the rotation. Should be the rotation. We need it. Need to keep stacking series. Stack series, stack series, stack series. You know, they have a couple big series coming up. They got the Blue Jays, who have some talent. They have a 4-game set with the Tigers, which is always competitive. They got a 3-game series with the White Sox. They got a 3-game series with the Red Sox in there. There's some other series in there that, like the Twins and the A's, that they should win. But if we can, when the Chicago White Sox come to Cleveland in the middle of September, and you enter that series and you're a half game back, or you're even better, you're tied, oh buddy, because that series could be for all the marbles, could be for it all, and it would be incredible. I think I think you would get a lot of people at those games. I think it would feel like a playoff atmosphere. That's what you want. You want to be playing meaningful baseball in September, and that's what this organization does. So, ride the train, baby. Ride the train. Anybody seen the recent clips of Ryan Day at his press conferences? He looks a little relaxed. I didn't add any clips to this episode today. Just me and a mic, just me talking, sharing my thoughts. Well, Ryan Day looks uncomfortably comfortable right now. As somebody who's lived and died with Ohio State football since 2002, I haven't seen a head coach. Tressel was very cool, calm, and collected, and Urban Meyer was it's fourth in inches every single moment of his life. And Ryan Day has usually come across as somebody who's not as stressed as Urban, but definitely a little more on edge than Tressel. Has looked stressed at times. Sometimes looks like he hasn't slept in months. He looks and sounds oddly comfortable right now. And I think it's a good thing. I want to say it's a good thing. I think he knows what he has. I think he knows what this team is capable of. I think he trusts this team, which is a big deal. Ryan Day doesn't trust anybody. Some days I don't even think Ryan Day trusts himself. But it seems like having Matt Patricia and Arthur Smith around has really put him at ease. And he trusts the guys that are leading the units on his team that is allowing him to be the CEO. Ryan Day, probably for the first time, truly has the pulse of the entire team, and not just the offense. He has the pulse of the defense. He has the pulse of the offense. Hopefully, he's got his thumb right on special teams. Please, God, let Ryan Day be involved and make sure the special teams gets fixed. He just seems like he's moving with a little bit of a little swagger, a little confidence. And I think that's going to go right into this team when they go travel down to Austin, Texas. Because I don't know if I can say I'm as confident as Chris is in that game, but I'm feeling very confident. I know what Matt Patricia's capable of doing when it comes to calling a defense and keeping a game close. Like this defense is going to be tough to score points on. Is it going to look different than last year? Is it going to be as good as last year? No. But last year's defense was maybe the best defense in Ohio State history. This defense is going to be hard to score 20 points on. Do I think Texas scores 20 points? Probably. I think maybe they get to 20 or 21 points. But Arthur Smith versus Will Muschamp, like if Will Muschamp wants to run man coverage, good luck, man. Good luck. I don't think that's how you beat Ohio State. I don't think that's the way to do it. Until proven otherwise, you know. So just watch when you see Ryan Day talk, look at his body language, look at his face. You know, he just seems relaxed, and it's the first time we've seen him be like that in a while. So keep an eye on that. I said I wasn't going to indulge this conversation with TSC and Luke Fahey, but I feel like I might have to. This notion that there's this quarterback competition between the backup, like it sounds like it's a thing, but the disappointment in TSC, he doesn't have to be ready right now. People are disappointed, like, oh, year 2, you should be ready. Like, no, he doesn't have to be ready. He doesn't have to be ready. He doesn't have to be the guy. Oh, well, what happens if Julian gets hurt? Well, we got what we got. But any team in the country, if they go play their backup, it's not going to be as good. If he was better, if we were going to be just as good with TSC, he'd probably be there would be a quarterback 1 competition. But there's not. And so for him and Luke Fahey, I think it's a good thing. The second part of it is that we're going to find out exactly how Ryan Day feels about his quarterbacks for next year when the transfer portal opens. We're going to know exactly how he feels. They're either going to go shopping for a real quarterback, like a big-time quarterback, that's if they're available, or he's going to go get a veteran, backup type quarterback. And, that's okay, too. The other thing is, maybe they really like Luke Fahey. They might really like him. And they want to have a legitimate competition next year. But you can't have a quarterback 1 competition, a real quarterback 1 competition, if there was never a quarterback 2 competition. You gotta keep, if you want Luke Fahey to stick around, you gotta give him some light at the end of the tunnel to make sure that you still have him in the room next year to have a real quarterback 1 competition. Because, like I said, if there's no quarterback 2 competition, what makes Luke Fahey think there's going to be a quarterback 1 competition? You got to be able to play chess now. This isn't just checkers anymore. When it comes to this roster building and roster retention, these coaches have to play chess. And that's, I think, what's happening right now. I think they like both of them, and they want to keep both of them, so they're keeping both of them engaged. But I still expect TSC to be the starting quarterback next year. That's my expectation. And that's all I'm going to say about the quarterback competition, the backup quarterback competition for the rest of the year. So quit asking. I do want to talk about Deshaun again. The NFL training camp is entirely too long. Like, these guys, they don't play for another 2 weeks. So, yes, we're going to talk about Deshaun more. But I really do wonder listen, I said it before, I don't want to tell people how to think. If you want to boo him, boo him. If you want him off the team, totally fair. If you don't like him, also fair. I don't really like him either. But what I'm not going to do as a fan, because remember, I am a fan, I'm not going to root for him to get hurt. I'm not going to root for his injury. I may not root for him to be successful. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm not going to root for him to not be successful, but I'm also not going to stress out and be mad if he is successful. I also don't think he's going to be successful, so I guess that doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is, in everybody's heart, they need to understand that we do not like Shador. People that don't like Shador, like normal NFL football fans, they don't like they don't like Deshaun because he's been bad at football. Cleveland Brown fans will say, "Oh, he's a bad person." Okay, you can believe that. That's fine. But also, ask them if they love Jim Brown. I mean, we have a statue of Jim Brown in Cleveland. And if you don't know about Jim Brown's his transgressions as a human being outside of the football field, go look it up. Go look it up. Because it's a laundry list, an extensive list of shitbag behavior. But you'll see Jim Brown jerseys all over the place in Cleveland and the Muni lot. You'll see people going to his statue and saying, there's some people, older, but some people saying that Jim Brown's the greatest running back of all time. The difference between Deshaun Watson and Jim Brown, as far as I'm concerned, is Jim Brown was really good at football and Deshaun Watson's not. And I said it last show. I said, you can't be bad person and bad at football. The NFL has showed us that for years. So to sit here and be like, I'm not going to the games and I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that, that's all your prerogative. You can do that, and I think you're entitled to your opinion. Do I think it might be a little bit of an overreaction to say that I'm not going to go to the games or I'm not going to renew my season tickets? I would say I think that that's an overreaction because this is going to pass. He is not going to be here moving forward after this season. At the worst, they are drafting a quarterback in 2027. And the fact of the matter is that there's a better chance that he doesn't even make it home to play the Panthers than it is for him to be the quarterback next year in Cleveland. This is going to pass. They are going to move on from this. Well, what happens if they takes in the playoffs? He's not happening. It's not happening. He's not good. So, listen, like I said, if you want to get rid of your season tickets and you don't want to go to the games and you don't want to, fine. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I believe that might be a little bit of an overreaction. Just my opinion. Boo him. Wish him to be gone. I've been saying I want him gone for 2 years now. Don't root for him. Wish the Browns to win every game 3-0. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hope the Browns win every single game that Deshaun Watson plays 3-0. I think that's what we should do. I think that's a very fair thing because if you go out there and you start, actively rooting against him and actively rooting for his downfall and actively rooting for his injury, the other players are going to feel that energy. And it's not going to be good. Now, listen, all these guys are getting paid. Young players, they got to do what they got to do to stay in the NFL. They'll get over it. And free agents will still come to Cleveland because we're going to pay them. We already got to pay the bad team tax already. We got to pay more for a free agent than another team does. That's just what it is right now. So again, I'm not too worried about that because at the end of the day, these guys are about that money. But just just if you want to root for the team from afar, root for the team from afar. But this is going to pass. It is. It's going to pass. I'm sure I'm going to get some hate for this one. I don't care. I just this is probably as bad as it's gotten for the Browns. I think this might be rock bottom. But I think once you hit rock bottom, there's only one way to go. Give me Shador to start at home, the home opener against Carolina. On the road to 10,000 subs, Dead Air Sports. We got a lot of stuff going on. We got a lot of stuff cooking up. We appreciate all your support, all the comments, positive and negative. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.